Okay, Dajjal, hi guys, it's Janae and welcome back to my channel. And my dog just barked. I really hope that that was a once-off and not something that's gonna be happening again and again now, because I tried to like settle her. My parents are like on their way, but they're not quite home yet, so it's like Anyway, um yeah, hi. Welcome. I am gonna be continuing my read along for Disabled Tyrant's Beloved Pet Fish. I'm still getting used to saying that. But hi guys, sorry. I feel a little bit scattered if you can't tell. If you're new here, I do done my read-alongs. We're currently busy with volume 1 of the one that I just mentioned. And I usually take about a 10-minute break on the hour to just stand up, stretch my legs, and get some new tea or coffee, whatever I'm dealing with at that time. So yeah, I hope you guys will enjoy it. I'm sorry I'm a little bit late. Things were just slightly chaotic. I am trying to get back into the habit of live streaming because it's been a while and we've only done 2 recently. So yeah, I have the novel here. Let me quickly open up so we can check. We are, for anyone following physically, at page 109, chapter 11. And I have the novels linked in the description as well for anyone who might be interested. And I have my tea here with me. So I think that's more or less it. Considering we are running a bit late, I think I'm just gonna start immediately if that's okay with you guys. I hope the audio is okay. I tried to put it closer to my mouth so that it would be louder like we had it at the last stream. That kind of situation, it's difficult because I have to take it down every single time and bring it back up and try and readjust, but I hope this is okay. So yeah, I think we can just get started. So we were with the prince, I think, deciding that he's gonna deal with our dear carp. So I hope that our dear carp survives this. The fish made a mistake. Oh great! What a good start! Liu followed Prince Jing and his servants back to Jintai Hall. He made countless attempts to endear himself to the prince on the way there, but Prince Jing, who had been tapping him on the head back in Tianjin Palace, didn't react at all. He tucked away the luminous pearl He even tucked away the luminous pearl. Liu was a little frustrated. Didn't he at least deserve some credit for inconveniencing noble consort Che? Was it that hard to let him hold the pearl for a bit? It wasn't like he was going to monopolize it. He only needed it to complete his quest. After the quest was finished, he'd be done with it. I don't think so. It sounded kind of like you're gonna have to put it in your inventory to be able to actually use it to do the transformation, or maybe I'm misunderstanding it. Um, but there was no need to get himself too worked up. Perhaps it was a coincidence that Prince Jing had taken the pearl. Communication between a fish and a mute prince was too difficult. Liu switched tactics and started swimming in circles around the bowl. Perhaps by mimicking the shape of the pearl, he could give Prince Jing a hint. Oh no, I think he gets what you want, but I think he's punishing you in some way, shape, or form right now. But the prince kept acting like he couldn't see him. Oh great. Little thing, what are you trying to do? Wang Shi chuckled. Wang Gonggong had resolved to take good care of the fish from now on. Although it was just an ordinary edible carp, this little creature had brought Prince Jing a substantial amount of good luck. It had splashed the prince with water, but that had allowed them to discover the bruise from Piao Xue, which in turn was able to help them get one over on the noble consort. Wang Xie had looked down on Xiaolinze for calling Pao Xue Master Cat, but now he was all too eager to eat his words and call the fish Master too. Oh, that's fantastic. Hi, Hey, Anne, hope you're feeling better. Goodness. I hope this can at least accompany you while you are trying to recover from your cold. Mm. Leah stiffened at Wang Xi's question. How could he make these people understand that all he wanted was the pearl? He didn't want anything else. Should he swim in the shape of the word pearl? No, probably not. If he really didn't manage to write something, if he really did manage to write something, he might scare Wang Xi witless. Worse yet, what if Wang Xi mistook him for a fish spirit? Cultivation had been banned ever since the founding of the PRC. May the heavens have mercy. He was just an innocent, transmigrated fish. Oh my goodness, but can you imagine if he does turn into a human? That isn't that going to be seen as some sort of cultivation though? I am worried. He'd better come up with something else. Wang Shi carried the large bowl to the room with that the little carp had been in before. Liu watched as the prince moved farther and farther away. Hey, wasn't he supposed to live with the tyrant? But after thinking about it some more, Liu realized he hadn't actually seen a bed or anything to sleep on. The prince had only entered the room to change. It obviously wasn't his bedroom. In ancient times, a concubine's favor with the emperor could apparently be determined by how far away she lived from him. It was probably the same for pets. Oh goodness. So you've angered the prince now, you don't get to sleep in the same room as him. But a pet that didn't live with its owner practically wasn't a pet at all. Leo could see it now. He was going to fail all his quests, and there was only one way that led: fish bones and fish ash. He couldn't be separated from Prince Jing. Leo had been looking kind of wilted, but now he was full of energy again. Living was way more important than some bright shiny pearl. He still had to get along with Prince Jing. Since Wang Xi had asked him what he wanted, Liu was going to show him. He bravely poked his head out of the water to look in Prince Jing's direction, his gaze bright and gleaming. Wang Xi was so happy he couldn't close his mouth. Oh, this little thing can't bear to be apart from His Highness. It wants to stay with him. Bless Wang Xi for understanding the language of both those who cannot speak. Both of those who cannot speak. Sorry, that was weirdly worded. Um, Thank you. Always feeling better when it's Danmei involved. Fair enough. I feel like Danmei is a good cure. Unless you want to be happy, then sometimes you might cry. Um, where was I? Oh goodness. Liu was incredibly flustered at being called little thing again, but desperate times called for desperate measures. He blew a bubble. That's somewhat difficult, little thing. Wang Shi must have been in a surprisingly good mood, because he actually gave the fish an explanation. His Highness doesn't like others in his room. Liu was baffled. This was the first time Liu had heard of his tyrant owner having a pet peeve like that. This bit of characterization probably wasn't in the book. The prince in the book was just made up of rows of cold and lifeless text, but the Prince Jing before him was an actual living, breathing person, and Li Ye knew that people were multifaceted and much more complicated than words on a page could describe. Liu could accept the new information. Prince Jing didn't like others entering his room, fair enough, but he wasn't just anyone. He was his pet fish. Liu continued wagging his tail at Wang Xi. He really wanted to go. Wang Xi couldn't help smiling. Sometimes he felt like this little carp was very intelligent and a bit clingy. Who didn't like a clingy pet? Guess we're about to find out. He wanted to help the little carp. He liked fish. Fish were quiet. They didn't get in the way. No matter where you put them, they were more or less a decorative piece. Oh my goodness. But it turned out he didn't need to convince Prince Jing, for the prince had already taken the bowl from him, a dark expression on his face. Oh, I don't know if you want to be sharing a room with Prince Jing tonight. Just a thought. Wang Gonggong was getting the sense that the prince wasn't in the greatest of moods. Not for the first time, he found himself thinking that he really couldn't understand Prince Jing. Prince Jing carried the little carp to the forbidden bedroom where no outsiders were permitted to enter. He had given the fish the cold shoulder all the way back from Qianqing Palace, but now it dared to wag its tail at Wang Xi. It's only wagging its tail because it wants to get close to you. It's not wagging its tail because it likes Wang Xi. Oh goodness, I wasn't anticipating a jealous pet owner, though I probably should have. Jing hadn't been standing too far away when the fish was playing with Wang Xi. His gaze as he watched them could have frozen the entire room. It was a very peculiar feeling, like when he was young at Mutianjiao. Sorry, like when he was young and Mutianjiao had stolen something that belonged to him. It had made him very unhappy, and only seizing it back made him feel a little better. He had already said so in front of the emperor. The fish was now his. He should be the one to decide where it lived. He didn't need anyone else to intervene. Accordingly, he took the fish away to his room and told nobody to bother him. Wang Xi would never have been able to imagine the inner workings of Prince Jing's mind. In order to please his master, Wang Gonggong hastily ordered some servants to bring over the porcelain fish tank from the first room. He was worried about Prince Jing's lack of pet fish knowledge too, so he also summoned a few servants who had experience in taking care of fish, cats, and dogs, just in case. After everything was settled and he had been moved back into his porcelain fish tank, Liya did a lap around the tank. Someone had already changed the water, and the leaf blanket and bed of white rock were still waiting for him, untouched. This was truly the best place. It was much nicer to swim here than in the bowl. Somehow, he realized, he had gotten used to thinking about things from a fish's perspective. Oh goodness, that makes one of us. Prince Pickle. Oh. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Was it a good or bad thing that he had adapted to all this so quickly? After dawdling for a while and making sure nobody was paying attention to him, he ducked under the leaf blanket, pretending to rest, and entered the system. The last time Liye had done this, he had been bursting with joy, excited to receive his prize. It was a very different story for this time round. He was deflated and gloomy. He had made little to no progress in either the main or side quests. The fish scamming system greeted him as usual, but didn't provide him with any extra hints. Half of the allotted time for the getting along step in the Priceless Pet Fish quest had already slipped by. Oh damn, I forgot about the countdown. Okay, that's scary. Seeing the Emperor hadn't helped him make any progress either. It was obvious he had to work a little harder. Sorry guys, I don't know why I'm struggling to put words together clearly. um Sorry about that. Mm, it was a shame he couldn't complete Clear Bright Pearl. Maybe he could give it another try. It was just within reach. Either way, Leo thought, he was already in Prince Jing's room. He was supposed to be his pet. He needed to have a little less shame about it. It wouldn't be all that weird for him to wiggle his way into his owner's clothes and just so happen to accidentally pull out a pearl or something, right? Um, no, that sounds pretty weird, I think. Maybe that's just me. Time was of the essence. Resolving to leave his shame behind, Leah exited the system. While he was inside the system, he couldn't tell what was happening in the outside world. Now that he was out again, he shook himself and came to an abrupt realization that he was lying in the tyrant's hand. Oh damn! Leah nearly jumped out of his skin. Prince Jing cupped his hands, holding the fish so that it was still surrounded by water. He had never observed the fish up close before. As soon as the little carp settled down, he couldn't resist taking a look. It was a strange fish, he thought, but it was also intriguing. When he'd first picked the fish up, he noticed it was completely stiff, unmoving. His brow twitched, and he immediately called over a servant who had raised fish before. After examining the fish for a few minutes, they concluded that it was likely asleep. Prince Jing then called over another servant for a second opinion, and this one said the exact same thing. After roughly 10 minutes, Prince Jing dismissed all of them and continued staring at the fish alone. If it was asleep, then it would eventually wake up. He wanted to see what other tricks this fish had up its sleeve. The little carp didn't sleep for long. Prince Jing was so close that he saw the fish tail twitch a little. Then, without warning, the fish jolted forward, nearly falling over in the water. Not for the first time, Prince Jing thought that the fish had the same dazed kind of look as a person who'd just woken up. But as soon as the fish saw him, it seemed sluggish. Prince Jing was slightly annoyed and tapped on the little carp's head. Why had it been so lively in front of Wang Xi, but seemed wooden and slow with him? The jealousy, oh my goodness, why is it so funny? The tap made Li Ye shake his head, remembering the task at hand. He started to wriggle his tail in an attempt to wheedle his way into the prince's favor. Ever since he had become a pet fish, swishing his tail and begging for pity was the only other survival skill he had outside of swimming. Except his owner didn't appreciate it. Prince Jing scoffed, his expression cold. Trying to kiss up to him now? Too late, oh great. What a mess. His palm was only so big, and it was impossible for the fish to keep wiggling like this without touching his hand. The feeling of the fish tail against his palm was a little odd, but Prince Jing refused to let it show. Leo took no notice. He was still trying to act cute, but his eyes kept trailing over to Prince Jing's clothing. The prince had put the luminous pearl in his sleeve. He remembered. If he could sneak into the prince's sleeve, how are you gonna get back out? This is a very half-baked plan and I am concerned. He drank so much vinegar, the fact that he's acting like this with the fish is hilarious. I mean, yeah, it is hilarious, and even with the observation I'm about to make, it doesn't make it less hilarious. But I could understand this if he doesn't generally have anyone or anything that he treasures, then I think it's kind of natural to not know how to handle jealousy if it's not a common feeling, if it's not something that happens to you regularly or like that you got used to dealing with as a child. Okay. Wait, he was in Prince Jing's hand right now. He could pretend that fish were very slippery. Liu swam to the edge of the prince's palm, deliberately slowly. He just needed to turn his body and flip over. But, while he managed to do exactly that, as soon as his body left the confines of his palm, Prince Jing caught him with his other hand and put him back. Liu was stunned. I'll flip again! Again! He tried twisting from the other side, but Prince Jing was faster. With his hands carefully cupped, he was able to hold him completely. Liu was pissed. Prince Jing peered down at him. He almost looked like he was smiling. He was doing it on purpose? Did he hide the pearl just to toy with him? Yes, I think so. Liu's mind spun. He thought smugly, then how about this? He didn't fight against the prince. Instead, following the line down Prince Jing's palm and arm, Liu slid down. This is a mess. Oh my goodness. Prince Jing froze. At first, he thought the fish had been making a break for it, but he absolutely did not expect it to try to wriggle into his sleeve. Aided by the water in Prince Jing's hand, the little fish slipped down his arm, managing to slip right into his sleeve in the blink of an eye. Prince Jing, normally as sturdy as an ice-capped mountain, felt goosebumps erupt all over his skin. He furrowed his brows slightly. Meanwhile, Leah, who had successfully managed to infiltrate enemy territory, found himself stuck to a large patch of muscle? What was this feeling? Did Prince Jing not wear any inner robes? Leah lay against the unknown muscle, his face blazing. In his original world, he was about an innocent he was but an innocent boy who'd been single his entire life. Now that he had transmigrated into a book, he was suddenly touching skin to skin with another man. Technically, you're a fish, though. He was so embarrassed. Leo was so flustered he wanted to cover his face with his fins, but they were too short. With no other way to unleash his emotions, he resorted to fiercely flapping his tail instead. Prince Jing, who had been bearing with all of this bizarre sensations, felt something scratch at him non-stop. How could anyone put up with that? Prince Jing was about to break out in a cold sweat. He quickly untied his clothes, wanting to pull the troublesome fish out. Inside his sleeve, Leah was getting more and more annoyed. The sleeve was narrow and dark. I'm struggling to understand what muscle is connected to the sleeve if not an arm muscle, and if it's an arm muscle, why all the fuss, you know? I any ideas, like how is the logic working? I need a chart. Mm. Inside his sleeve, Leo was getting more and more annoyed. The sleeve was narrow and dark. If you moved around, he would slide further down, unable to stop. If he opened his eyes, the fabric would stab into them. Filled with regret over his impulsive decision, Leo was desperate to leave. In a fit of distress, he thrashed around even more wildly, but his struggling only increased Prince Jing's discomfort. As he flailed about, though, Leo spotted a faint glow. Dizzily, he wondered why there would be a light in Prince Jing's clothes. Could it be the clear, bright pearl? How sneaky. Prince Jing may have stuffed the pearl deep into his sleeve, but he couldn't fool Li Ye. Victory was just one step away. He could do it. Li Ye fought hard to move towards the light. Oh my goodness. Sounds like he's dying. He'd come this far already. Nothing could stop him now. No matter what, he had to touch it first. As he shuffled, closer to the light, he thought he could see a hazy, round thing. Oh, pearls were round. Leo opened his mouth wide and went for it. Tell me, what I'm thinking is not what's actually happening. I really hope that's not it. Oh my word. Okay, okay. Here we go. Um. Leo opened his mouth wide and went for it. The moment his fish jaw closed around the round thing, Leo was overcome with emotion. Terrified the pearl might roll away from him, he clamped down hard. I'm so scared. What? Leo felt Prince Jing flinch violently. The next moment, his dark surroundings brightened. All the clothes that had been in the way were now gone, and he could see Prince Jing, his upper half completely bare, with a rare hint of pink on his cheeks. He scowled down at Leo, irate. With the luminous pearl in his mouth, the little carp couldn't blow bubbles, so he opted to wave his tail happily at his owner instead, which was when he realized he was lying entirely on the prince's chest. Oh my goodness, I'm dying. Hold on. How did he get from the sleeve to here? Thank you. That's my question. Keeping his death grip on the pearl, Leo scoured his surroundings. All he could see was a landscape of pale skin. Especially here, where the pearl was, he could feel the prince's pulse with his chest. Wait, Leo finally noticed something was wrong. Did Prince Jing hang the pearl around his neck? It was the noble consort's pearl. Did he have to go so far? The make and mold of the pearl was not quite right either. The texture felt a little soft. You don't say. Oh, yeah, no, sweet, sweet secondhand embarrassment. That's it, indeed. I don't think this is ever a situation that I thought I would be reading about. But here we are. Oh my goodness. Arrived at a horrifying conclusion. Trembling, he opened his mouth and reluctantly looked at the luminous pearl he had just held within. Mm-hmm. That wasn't a pearl. Not at all. That was the thing used to differentiate between the front and the back of a man. I mean, okay. That's an interesting way to describe it, because, like, okay, anyway, moving on. The fish suffered a devastating blow. The little carp collapsed, dropping down from Prince Jing's chest. But Prince Jing, with his lightning fast reflexes, managed to catch him. Just then, Wang Xie, oh, Wang Xie pushed open the door. He'd wanted to ask Prince Jing a question, but he had waited some time and the prince never came out of his room. Left without any other choice, Wang Xi came to take a look, only to be faced with Prince Jing in a state of undress, face flushed pink, and a fish in his hand. Oh my goodness. Wang Xi was shocked. Who knew what Wang Gonggong, experienced and knowledgeable in all his worldly wisdom, was thinking about when he came upon the scene? He was so aghast, his voice even changed. Your Highness, you can't! I don't even want to read the next sentence. The fish is too small. What is he thinking? Goodness. It won't be able to take it. Oh no. The entire day had just been a never ending stream of embarrassing moments. Goodness, please let this fish die. I feel you. I feel you. That was rough. Oh my word. Okay. A quick interlude to just take a sip of tea. That was a lot, and I honestly don't know how the prince is gonna recover from this, like how Lu Yi is gonna get back on his good side after that, because that was something. Honestly, he could just tell Wang Xi maybe that he was trying to feed the fish or something and water splashed on him, or the fish like accidentally jumped out and water splashed on him and he like took off his clothes to help with the water and then the fish. I don't know. There's actually no way to explain that. But like you could try. You could try anything except whatever is currently going through Wang Gonggong's mind, because it honestly, it's a lot. It's a lot. Okay, let's keep going. Did I? Oh, okay, it fell out. Chapter 12. The fish wants to apologize. Thank goodness. Mia knew he had screwed up big time. There was no question about it. Prince Jing must be furious. Not only had Li Ye splashed water on him and caused a huge ruckus in Tianjin Palace when Prince Jing wasn't there, now Li Ye had gone and felt him up too. I mean, that's one way to put it. But also, like, what was the main quest? Wasn't it get close to Prince Jing? Because like, if it's physically close, it's been accomplished. You know, you don't know where the loopholes may lie in this. I'd love to hear him explain why it was flaccid. Yeah, no. It would not be a good explanation at all. I don't think there's really any saving the situation. Lia's ancestors must be protecting him. It was the only way he could explain why the prince hadn't killed him then and there. He couldn't remember how he went from Prince Jing's hand back to his fish tank, nor could he recall swimming back to his bed of white rocks. Normally, fish fell asleep in the blink of an eye, but Leah had spent half the night tossing and turning and hadn't slept a wink. But the moonlight outside the window shone into the porcelain fish tank, making the bottom of the water sparkle and shine. Leah felt his mood lift a little at the sight. Thinking about what he had gone through, he felt even more humiliated. No matter how shameless he was, that was it for him. There was no way he was going to attempt to complete Clear Bright Pearl again. He should just give up on the side quest and focus on the main quest. He was sure there would be other opportunities for him to transform back into a human in the future. Having finally convinced himself, he decided to put all his energy into figuring out how to get along. Okay, not get close, get along. Okay, that is quite different, damn it. With Prince Jing. But this whole mess had scared him pretty badly. Whenever he saw Prince Jing, he felt uncomfortable all over, as though he could still feel the softness in his mouth. Oh my goodness. His fish tail felt like it was being roasted over an open fire, the heat spreading quickly through his entire body. How could he be so foolish as to confuse a pearl with that? Leah buried his head under his leaf blanket in a huff. If he was this miserable, Prince Jing probably wasn't much better. Leah knew that if he was in Prince Jing's royal shoes, and he had been bitten there by a fish, he'd never hear the end of it, as long as he lived. And he just had to do this to himself right after he insisted on staying in Prince Jing's room. They couldn't get away from each other anymore. There was no way for him to find an antidote for his regrets. Without really meaning to, Leah started avoiding Prince Jing. When the prince passed by, Leah either had his tail turned to him, or he was hiding motionlessly under his blanket, pretending to be asleep. He only acted cute for food when Wang Shi came to see him. No, that's the exact wrong thing you should be doing, my man. My fish, like... Okay, so I think that's just gonna make him more jealous. I don't think this is not gonna go well. Wang Shi could feed him a plethora of red-colored food, but for some reason his gaze would always be tinged with pity. He would whisper, "Little thing, you've suffered a lot. Eat more and grow fat. Oh goodness!" But it was dangerous for a fish to be fattened up. The little carp started to grow weary. Did Prince Jing want to turn him into fish soup? Thank goodness Wang Shi was still using a Ri to nudge him into swimming a few laps after each meal. At first, Li didn't understand why he did it, but he soon learned from Wang Gonggong's chatter that fish weren't supposed to eat so much, and he was pushing Li to swim around so he could digest better. Perhaps it was because he had followed the taciturn Prince Jing for many years, but Wang Shi never seemed to run out of things to say. He stood before his master. When he stood before his master, Wang Shi had to carefully consider his words before he spoke. But he had no such qualms when it came to the little carp. The image of a hand came to mind, making the ear pause. The fingers were pinched together, gently pushing him to swim around. He'd gorged himself back then, too, so Prince Jing had been helping him digest over that time. But because he couldn't speak, and because of his personality, Prince Jing didn't reveal it to anyone. As grateful as Li Ye felt, his guilt just continued to grow. He knew Prince Jing was good to him, and yet he had taken advantage of him. Oh, goodness. It had been a misunderstanding, an accident, but he knew he was still at fault. The bit wrung out. A bit wrung out. The little carp wondered if he and Prince Jing would be able to go back to how they were before. Was he going to have to continue avoiding the prince, never complete his quests, and eventually turn into fish bones and fish ash? Leo couldn't accept his life ending for such an outrageous reason. He needed to pull himself together. He wanted to complete his tasks happily with Prince Jing and not have to hide whenever he heard the prince's footsteps. And also, isn't your time still running out? Or, should I not be worried about that? He should try to apologize. Misunderstanding or not, he was still the one in the wrong. As long as he apologized, even if an apology from a fish meant nothing to a prince, he could at least turn over a new page and face Prince Jing like normal. But the problem was, how was he going to do it? He had already spun in circles and danced the seaweed dance plenty of times, so those wouldn't be worth anything. He couldn't write, leaving him no way for leaving him no way for him to communicate in a human language. He couldn't even prepare a proper gift. The porcelain fish tank he lived in, the bed, and the blankets, none of those belonged to him. How could he show he was truly sorry? Leah swam a lap in the tank, troubled. Then his gaze fell upon a long piece of fish food. It was a chunk of fish food Wang Shi had thrown to him not too long ago, but Leah hadn't touched it because he didn't have much of an appetite. But since it was given to him, it now belonged to him. He could give this to Prince Jing to demonstrate his sincerity. I don't know how that's gonna go. I don't know how well that's gonna come across. I'm kind of concerned. Leah picked up the food and hid it. Worried it might not be enough, he hid a couple more until he had 6 pieces. An auspicious number. Prince Jing was rarely in his room during the day. He usually only came by at night. Once night fell and the lamps had been lit, Leah figured it was about time. He picked out the pieces of fish food and laid them out carefully. Happiness expanded his chest. He waited for Prince Jing to return. So what if I bit my owner there? I'm just a fish. You can forgive me, right? Tonight, however, unbeknownst to Li Yu, Prince Jing had something to take care of, and had returned to his manor outside the palace. Li Yu waited until he couldn't stay up any longer, but Prince Jing never came back that night. Prince Jing hurried back to Jin Tai Hall, bright and early the next day, the morning dew clinging to the bottom of his boots. Wang Shi led a group of servants to help him change. At the first opportunity, Prince Jing shot a glance at the porcelain fish tank. Ever since the little carp bit him, Prince Jing felt like the fish had been a little listless. Moreover, this listlessness was directed at him, personally, and no one else. The fish would swish its tail when Wang Shi was over there, but as soon as Prince Jing walked over, the only thing he'd see was a clump of water plants. Prince Jing was a little irritated. Wasn't he the one who'd been bitten? How dared this fish ignore him when he hadn't even done anything yet? Yet, that kind of sounds a little bit foreboding. Prince Jing wasn't a very laid-back person. He couldn't stop thinking about it. He needed to set things straight between him and the fish and establish some rules. While he wouldn't be so cruel as to deprive his own fish of food and water, I mean, if you deprive him of water, he'll die, so I would hope not. Prince Jing still wanted the fish to suffer a little hardship, so it would think twice about getting too rowdy and making more trouble for him. He'd already written the rules down one by one, and all that was left was to do was have Wang Shi implement them. One of them was that he was going to seal the pearl from Qianqing Palace in a clear jar, then put the jar in the fish tank. Prince Jing knew how badly the little carp wanted the pearl, but he wasn't going to just hand it over. Making it look at what it couldn't touch would build character. Why is this telling me exactly how he was probably raised as well? That way, it would come to understand that one couldn't have everything one wanted in life. Your Highness, do you think the little thing will understand what you mean by this? Wang Shi really wanted to tell the prince that this little thing was just a fish. A fish definitely wouldn't be able to understand such profound principles. Unfortunately, he didn't have any power to talk Prince Jing out of it. Prince Jing was adamant. He nodded solemnly. It must be done. Wang Shi sighed. He couldn't go against the master's wishes. He went to prepare. Oh no, this is not going to go well. After changing, Prince Jing strolled to the fish tank. The little carp wasn't hiding anymore, nor was it on its white stone bed. Instead, it had fallen asleep in front of a neat little row of fish food. For a moment, he thought someone was abusing the fish to the point that it was starting to store food. The little carp woke up soon after. He peered around and noticed the fish food had remained untouched. He looked up. When he met Prince Jing's eyes, he started to spin happily in circles. No, Leo shook his head. He almost forgot himself and started to dance the seaweed dance. I can't help but wonder, what the hell is the seaweed dance supposed to look like? Leo tried his best to lower his head in the water. His fins were too short for him to clasp his hands in front of him to bow, so he gave up on the gesture and instead brought each piece of fish food before Prince Jing, lowering his head again each time. Prince Jing wasn't quite sure how to react. Wang Shi was shocked. Your Highness, what is this little thing doing? Prince Jing looked from the row of food to the little carp's constantly bobbing head. He watched it for a while, thinking. Was the little carp asking for forgiveness, trying to kiss up to him, or something else? Regardless of the reason, the fish seemed to want him to eat. But humans couldn't eat fish food, obviously. The corner of Prince Jing's lips twitched at the fish's absurd ideas. Seeing that the prince was deep in thought, Wang Shi didn't dare make a sound. But the servant Wang Shi had sent off before to carry out the prince's orders had returned, so Wang Shi timidly interrupted. Your Highness, the luminous pearl has been put into the bottle at your request. Wang Shi had to call out to Prince Jing several times before the prince pulled himself out of his reverie. In Wang Shi's hand was the little bottle with the luminous pearl. Originally, Prince Jing had signaled to Wang Shi that he would punish the little carp by placing the pearl trapped inside the bottle into the fish tank himself. The bottle was very secure, and the opening had been sealed with wax. There was no way a fish would be able to open it. But at the sight of the fish blowing bubbles at him, Prince Jing hesitated. He stopped Wang Shi. Wang Shi didn't understand what was happening, but Prince Jing had already grabbed the little bottle from him. The bottle, clutched in his hand, hovered just above the fish tank. The luminous pearl's glow was dazzling, even from inside the bottle. Its glimmer filled up the whole fish tank, and Li's attention was drawn to it instantly. There was no doubt that was the clear, bright pearl he'd been yearning for. Was he dreaming? What was going on? He'd completely given up on the side quest, but now the prince was bringing out the pearl. Leo was haunted by the memory of what had happened the last time he was too impulsive, and he didn't dare to make a sudden movement. He sat obediently in his tank, his tail quivering in anticipation. What was the prince doing? It couldn't be what he was thinking of, right? The youth standing before the fish tank silently opened the bottle and dumped the pearl straight into the tank. What? I thought he was gonna at least try and get more of a reaction from Leah before he did that. I think he just undulated his body like a seaweed dance in the water. Okay, I get it. Mm. One couldn't have everything they wanted in life, but as long as someone held him sincerely in their heart, he would take care of them, even if it was just a fish. Okay, that's sweet. Leo watched the luminous pearl fall in slow motion, like a dazzling meteor shooting by. He let out a cheer, his tail flinging him high into the air, and caught the pearl. A bright pearl, success. Okay, sorry, I accidentally just went on reading, but we are now at chapter 13. The fish wants to fight for love. Oh! Hmm. That's interesting. I'm kind of curious to see if they kind of mean not a platonic love, but like a pet owner kind of love, not a human to human romantic kind of love. Clear, bright pearl, success. The long awaited sound of the system's chime was like the heavens singing down to him. Leo was so happy he could float, but since he was right in front of Prince Jing, he had to restrain himself. He couldn't just enter the system and abandon Prince Jing. As soon as the quest was complete, Leo had no further use for the luminous pearl. He was struggling to hold on to it and wanted to put it down, but Prince Jing and Wang Shi were both gathered at the porcelain tank, gazes burning as they stared down at him. He felt like if he dared to abandon the pearl now, the tyrant might stab him to death with his eyeballs. I think that's a good prediction. Prince Jing must have given Leo the pearl because he thought he really liked it, right? Leo couldn't just get rid of the pearl after he had made such an effort to apologize. He had to make it seem like he adored it, but his mouth was really sore from holding it. He thought it over some more, and then he set the pearl down at the bottom of the tank and nudged it shyly with his mouth. The round pearl rolled forward a bit before coming to a stop. Leo continued to use his mouth to prod at it, pushing the pearl quite a long way around the tank. Might as well pretend it's a soccer ball, Leo thought to himself as he played gleefully. You can always put it next to your bed or whatever. Your Highness, look, the little thing loves the pearl you gave it. It's rolling it around. Just moments ago, the little carp had been jumping around happily and even caught the shiny pearl from its owner's hand. Wang Shi couldn't be more excited. Except this pearl that was being rolled around the tank could fetch quite the price. Wang Shi couldn't help feeling a little sorry for the noble consort. As the little carp chased them and played around with the luminous pearl, the cool, clear light made the silver grey of the fish gleam. It was a rare and breathtaking sight. Prince Jing smiled lightly. The little fish really did want the pearl. Leo rolled the pearl until he had pushed it into a corner. Pretending he was tired, he lay down on the white rock bed and entered the system. Sure enough, he was immediately met with the reward prompt for finishing the side quest. Suppressing his excitement, Leo carefully read through the instructions for the transformation medicine. Okay. I mean, I'm glad that the pearl is not is not directly tied to it, because that might somehow lead to a suspicious situation. But this is good. I'm glad he has instructions. Mm. He was just about to confirm and accept when a light bulb went off in his head and he realized something. The bottle that held the medicine looked rustic and was carved with images he had never seen before. It might not look very big, but where was he, a fish, supposed to store it if he accepted it right now? Was he supposed to let it float in the water in his inventory? What a cursed image. After considering his options, Leo asked the system, "Will the medicine disappear if I don't accept it right away?" The system replied, "No, rewards from completed quests will be held indefinitely." Leo nodded satisfied. "Very good. Then I'll leave the prize for now and use it when the time comes." The system said nothing. Leo felt he had just discovered a whole new world. The inadequate size of his inventory wasn't going to stop him from using such a clever method to store the things he didn't need right now. He was always being tricked by the system. It felt good to outsmart it once in a while. When he first heard about the transformation medicine, he'd been ecstatic. But, having spent more time thinking on it, he couldn't just use it willy-nilly. Leo didn't exist in the original book, and if he suddenly appeared in his human form, it might create additional chaos that he didn't need or want. Plus, there was also the issue of being able to maintain his human form for only 2 hours. Everything had to be planned out in advance. It was important that he think about the timing and purpose of his transformation. He also had to find a suitable getaway plan. On the off chance he turned back into a fish in front of everyone, that would be no good either. He could worry later. The medicine was in his hand now. Leo carefully closed the quest, clear bright pearl. He checked the main quest again and immediately deflated. The time left for getting along was still counting down, reminding him that he had no less than a day before the time was up. If he couldn't complete the main quest, it didn't matter if he had the medicine. He wouldn't ever get a chance to use it. We're already at this point, and the fish scamming system won't give me a single hint. Don't you have a conscience? The system has no conscience. The system agreed. Please have some patience when completing your quest. He always knew this thing was heartless. Oh, goodness. Okay, I am gonna just pause it here for 10 minutes and we will be back at like 8 8, 9 past for the last hour of the read along. I just quickly want to stretch my legs and grab something to drink. So I will see you guys in 10 minutes. Okay, we are back. I hope the audio is still okay. Let me just quickly resituate myself. Let's see here. Random question: if you could become best friends with any Danmei character, who would it be? Ooh, um, hmm, that's a difficult question because, like, I feel like the first person who came into my mind was Lance Sidgwick, but that's more like I just want to be like a mother aunt figure to him. Um, Probably Wuxia, but like I feel like Wei Wuxian after all the drama, like after the series ended, because his life just seems very complicated. Um, Otherwise, modern day speaking, probably Yunnan. Like he just seems like he would always be very funny. Um, a slight nightmare, but also just very funny. I don't know. Like, what do you guys think? Who would you pick? Cause like it's honestly a little bit of a difficult question. I always get caught up in the semantics of would I want to be involved in the trouble that they have gotten themselves into, and usually the answer is no. So yeah, I know I love Shizue so much. Okay, it's funny because like I feel like I absolutely adore Lanjan, but I am just as like if I don't know someone, I am a very quiet person. So I don't think he and I would ever have much to talk about because he barely talks and I'm not going to start the conversation. So yeah, that wouldn't work. Okay, so we were at the top of page 130 for anyone following along. Leah exited. Night had fallen, dark and quiet, but the luminous pearl was still emitting its soft, faint glow, lighting up the porcelain tank as if it were daytime. Leah covered the luminous pearl with a leaf blanket to block out its light, and then he yawned and fell asleep leaning against it. Leah awoke to the smell of ink. The row of fish food he had saved to give to Prince Jing was close by. Prince Jing hadn't touched his gift. It'd be a waste if his gift was left sitting so long, and it went bad. Looked like it was up to Leah to take care of it himself. After eating, he thought of the main quest that was now doomed to fail. Was he just supposed to float there and watch the time trickle by? No way. He was going to check on what Prince Jing was doing. Then take matters into his own hands, friends. Sorry, that's me, and force them to have some sort of interaction. Throwing something against the wall and hoping it stuck was better than not throwing anything at all. Leah could hear Prince Jing moving around in the room, but the porcelain tank was a little too tall. If the prince didn't walk over, it was very difficult for him to see him. Leah quietly gathered his strength in his tail. Now very familiar with his tail and practically an expert at jumping out of the tank, he wanted to take it to the next level and try a new, never before attempted trick. Instead of only stealing a brief glance before inevitably falling back down to the bottom, Leo would grab onto the side of the tank and lean against it. Holding on to the edge required a body-fin coordination. He wasn't sure he'd be able to do it. Prince Jing, who was writing at his desk, heard a noise and saw the little carp come leaping out with a swish of its tail. Prince Jing had seen the carp wave its tail a few times, so he wasn't surprised, although the Emperor hadn't believed noble consort Xie when she had insisted the carp was able to fly. Prince Jing didn't doubt it. He knew his fish could fly in its own way. but he wasn't about to speak up for the noble consort. Seeing the fish prepare to jump again, Prince Jing relaxed. It would fall down soon enough. But Prince Jing waited for a while, and the fish didn't fall. Instead, it smacked into the edge of the tank. It flapped its tail and fins furiously. It slowly started to slide down, and then splash. Undeterred, the little carp jumped up again without hesitation. Prince Jing watched, amused. At this point, he had a pretty good guess as to what the fish was trying to do. The second time the little carp fell back into the tank after another bout of flailing, he reached over and lifted the fish up at just the right moment. This time, it was Li Ye's turn to be confused. Okay, so it doesn't seem like anything's gonna come of it, but for a moment there I was scared that he would cut his fin on the glass edge or something like that. Switching sure for me, I think. I'm Lanjan. We can just chill and read books. I'd be besties with Chen Qingxue. He's a nerd. Fair, like, he is the realist among all the MXTX main characters. I feel like he is just very relatable. The little carp had been absorbed in sorry. The little carp had been absorbed in waging a great battle against the fish tank when he suddenly felt weightless and was picked up. He looked up. Who else could it be but Prince Jing? Mia curled his tail happily around Prince Jing's finger. Master, you've come to help me. Prince Jing coughed lightly while holding the fish. His finger felt a bit ticklish. He had moved without thinking and didn't think to find something to put the fish into beforehand. Concerned about the little fish being out of the water for too long, Prince Jing gently put the fish in a clean tea bowl. Made out of white jade and wrapped in a hint of green, the tea bowl was shaped like a flower petal and was just big enough for a fish. Prince Jing poured some fresh water into the tea bowl. It was very shallow, so as soon as the little carp was in the tea bowl, it could look up with ease to see its surroundings. Although he was now living in Prince Jing's room, a fish's field of vision from the inside of a tank was very limited. He could hear the sounds of people coming and going every day, but he had never seen what the room looked like. In this new position, he was suddenly able to. Leo was a little disappointed. Compared to the exquisite luxury of Qianqing Palace, Prince Jing's room looked rather shabby. After surveying his surroundings, though, his conclusion was that the room suited the Tyrant's cold disposition, reserved, simple, and mature. Prince Jing evidently only kept the essentials, as there was a pitiful lack of interior decor. It was almost like a snow cave. What does a snow cave look like? I feel like I need to Google that. No matter, New Year thought. The entire reason he was here was to turn the tyrant's personality around. Perhaps he could bring some warmth to the snow cave. Next to the bowl was a brush and ink. After Prince Jing set Leah down, he sat down and picked up the brush. Don't accidentally dip your brush into the bowl that has the fish in it, because I have accidentally, while painting, dipped my brush into my coffee instead of into my clean water. So don't do that, please. I don't think it would be good for your fish. So he was going to write or draw? Leo remembered the ink he had smelled earlier and swished his tail excitedly. He knew quite a lot about the subject. He could give the prince some ideas. Whenever the little carp felt joyful, its tail would lift high up in the air. Prince Jing shot him a warning look, and Leo immediately put his tail down. He was definitely going to be sent back to his tank if he accidentally got the prince's calligraphy or painting wet. The little carp settled on, staring quietly but ardently. Prince Jing considered, then smoothed out the paper. With a few quick strokes, he outlined a vivid, lifelike fish. Leah peered over. That head, that body, that tail. Wow, Prince Jing was drawing him. Leah was so thrilled someone was willing to draw a portrait of him that every time he looked at Prince Jing, he felt delighted all over again. Maybe not Prince. Maybe Leah should put in a little effort too. Perhaps he could try modeling for Prince Jing, since he was the prince's muse. Well, that didn't take long to go to his head. After some solemn deliberation, the little carp twisted in the tea bowl in what he thought was a truly majestic pose. In reality, it was just a very curved S. Prince Jing smiled. The little fish was quite sharp. Keeping his eyes on the fish, he added a few more strokes. Although neither of them spoke, there was an air of amicability as the human and fish enjoyed each other's company. Oh my goodness. Oh, that is like, why is that such a funny sentence? Uh, but also, I would low key love it if at some point Prince Jing gets to know other fish and realizes how truly abnormal his fish is, because I think the problem right now is he has no other fish experience to compare this to, so he just thinks it's totally normal for a carp to be as smart as this one is, and I don't think that's the case, unfortunately. So I would actually love to see how that kind of makes him maybe consider weird possibilities with regards to why is my carp so smart when no other carp is. Paint me like one of your French girls, Prince Jing. Oh goodness, yes. Your Highness, Your Highness. Wang Xi came in to report, drenched in sweat. His Imperial Majesty's gifts have arrived. Prince Jing set down his brush and moved the painting to the side to dry. Just before he headed out to accept the gifts, he glanced back and saw that the little carp was swaying its tail, its face turned to the painting as though it wanted to try. Prince Jing's eyelid twitched. He turned around and grabbed the tea bowl with the fish in it. He didn't want to find a few new tail imprints on the painting when he returned. How is he already understanding his fish so well? Like, this is insane. Leah was bewildered to find himself suddenly whisked away. The news of noble consortier trying to frame Prince Jing had already travelled to every corner of the palace. If this had happened a couple of years ago, the emperor would have never allowed a matter to pass so easily. But since he'd already had plans for the second prince to be the crown prince, he had to consider the second prince's reputation. In the end, the emperor treated Mu Tianxiao coldly for a few days, but his choice for crown prince remained the same. While the emperor had indeed punished the noble consort, he had to put in some effort to comfort Prince Jing as well, as was evidenced by the long list of gifts. I misunderstood. I thought he meant Prince Jing had ordered gifts to give to the emperor and that had arrived, but no, the emperor sent gifts over to Prince Jing. Okay, I got it. Hmm. Without batting an eye, he shoved all sorts of priceless treasures at the prince as though they cost nothing. One of them was especially unique, a pair of koi that had been gifted to the emperor by a foreign country. I don't think he's actually gonna like it, because I don't know, he seems like the kind of person who's like, I'm gonna pick the fish that I raise. No one is gonna decide for me, that kind of a thing. There was only a few pairs of these fish in the world. The emperor had given gifts to Prince Jing before too, But the prince had always been a difficult person to please. He had no need for gold or silver, and no interest in beauties. Every time he had to decide on a gift for Prince Jing, it gave him a headache. Now that he discovered Prince Jing actually had interests, the emperor waved his brush so enthusiastically it was like he'd been injected with steroids. If the prince liked fish, then he would give him more fish. A huge smile split head eunuch Luo's face as he directed servants to deliver a 3 or 4 foot long fish tank into Jin Tai Hall. I don't know if that's gonna fit, that sounds very big. This tank was truly rare, as it was carved from complete transparent crystal. Inside the tank were 2 koi, one red and one gold, both hand-picked by the emperor himself. They had clearly been taken care of extremely well, because both of them were huge. When they swam together, their colors flowed like rays of light. It was quite a sight to behold. Leo was currently in Wang Gonggong's hands, munching on the food that Wang Gonggong had sprinkled into his bowl. But upon seeing that the emperor had shoved a few more fish at Prince Jing, Leo's jaw dropped in shock. A few pieces of food floated away. In this day and age, did every fish have to compete for love? Okay, now the chapter title makes more sense. With his intelligence, how could he stoop so low as to fight with other fish? But he had quests he had to complete. If the prince no longer cared for him, who was Liu going to complete his tasks with? No, he had to fight. Liu observed carefully, resolving to guard Prince Jing the way a hen looked after her eggs. If any other fish tried to seduce Prince Jing, he would chase them away. What is that sentence? Oh my goodness. The little carp secretly began readying himself for battle. But after Prince Jing took his time to admire the crystal fish tank with the rare koi inside, he ultimately did not accept them. Prince Jing was not swayed. To Liu's relief and delight, the pretty koi had failed to tempt him. And of course, when Wang Gonggong brought him back to his room and saw that his porcelain fish tank had been replaced with a huge crystal fish tank that originally held the koi, Liu was even happier. I do feel bad for the koi though. Like, it's not their fault that they're just average fish. I just quickly want to grab a little bit more tea before we continue. But I feel like we are making good progress. Do you guys have any plans for this weekend? Like, I think my weekend's actually going to be pretty chill, which I'm looking forward to because at the end of the month, I have a friend's birthday during the one weekend, and then on the following weekend we have Comic-Con, which I'm very excited about, don't get me wrong. But it is going to be busy, and I am an introvert, so it is always a little bit draining, even if it's super fun and enjoyable. Little fish getting ready to jump into the fish tank of vinegar. Very much so. And I think, like, technically if he had been allowed to be in the same tank as the koi, they probably would have eaten him. I don't want to think too hard about that, but like, it seems likely. So I'm glad the prince didn't attempt that. Honestly, I would just want to sleep the weekend away. This week has been exhausting. That sounds like a good plan as well. The brain sometimes just needs rest, as well as the heart. Oh, goodness. Okay, chapter 40. The fish wants revenge on society. Oh, that's dramatic. Leah had switched to a completely new dwelling. The new fish tank was several times larger than the old one, and it was sculpted from a solid piece of crystal. Such a large piece of crystal was a rare find in ancient times, and these kinds of treasures were reserved for the royal family. But to Liu, who was from a modern time, crystal like this wasn't particularly uncommon. He was used to seeing large transparent fish tanks everywhere, so Liu had no concept of the price of his new residence, and no one would ever think to point this out to a fish. Fair enough. Mm. All the little carp knew was Prince Jing had moved his familiar white rock bed into the new tank, using the exact same kind of stone to expand his sleeping area. The water plants were moved in as well. Not a single leaf was missing. Prince Jing had also added an ornamental mountain for him to play in, with parts of the mountainside made to resemble a lounge chair. Oh my goodness! When Liu lay on it, there was room for him to move around, and he wriggled a few times to express his enjoyment. Lady Cheer's luminous pearl had been placed in the corner of his new tank. Perhaps Prince Jing was worried he'd get bored with just one pearl, because the prince gave him plenty of other jewels in a few different colors and sizes. Liu didn't know how expensive the crystal was, so of course he wouldn't be able to tell that all these other balls were made from precious gems. Oh my goodness. The craftsmanship in ancient times wasn't sophisticated enough to cut the gems perfectly. Most of the time, gems were only carved for the purpose of being inlaid into decorations, and so the gem's natural beauty and shine wasn't as prominent. Liu could only recognize something as a gemstone when it sparkled and shone, so he assumed all these rounded jewels in the fish tank were just regular rocks, just unusually colorful regular rocks. No, why is this so realistic? Like, this is weirdly realistic considering everything else. Um, I lost my place, sorry. Okay. Wang Shi Gong, who often came to look after the little carp, saw it build a pile out of the jewels that had been scattered in the tank and pick out a pigeon blood ruby. The little carp swung its tail vigorously, sending the pigeon blood ruby into the stack of jewels and knocking them all over. Oh my word, he's just playing with jewels, like these priceless jewels. He's just using them as some kind of game. As a human, that would hurt my soul. Especially someone like Wang Gong who's not particularly rich. Like he's surrounded by rich people, but that doesn't necessarily mean he himself is well off. So I would feel a little wounded. The corner of Wang Gong's lip twitched, watching this scene. These were the premium gemstones the emperor had given the prince some time ago. His Highness had ordered the jewels to be made into spherical shapes because he assumed the little thing had taken a liking to round things. It appeared as though the little fish did indeed enjoy them. He even started playing with the noble consort's luminous pearl list once he received these jewels instead. Liu spent a long time just getting used to his new tank. By the time he realized it, there was less than half a day left in the getting along quest. How? Why did he start playing for real? Liu hurriedly chucked away the jewel he was playing with and looked around for Prince Jing. The crystal fish tank was transparent enough that he no longer needed to jump up high in the air to see him. The prince was currently reading a book at his desk. The sunlight scattered through the window lattice, enveloping the beautiful youth in a gentle golden glow. Liu stared, dumbstruck. Before, whether he was in the porcelain fish tank or the tea bowl, he always had to look up to see Prince Jing, and by now Liu was used to his cold expression. He had no idea that the same face could look so gentle and soft. Liu stared at Prince Jing blankly. feeling an inexplicable ache in his heart. In this world, the person he spent the most time with was Prince Jing, and the time they'd spent together had been filled with happiness. In another few hours, his fish life was going to come to an end. Prince Jing would never know that his pet fish had been a person from another world. An absurd idea suddenly popped up in Lia's mind. Maybe he should just forget everything and use the transformation medicine. So what if he caused a little bit of chaos? He was human. It was unfair that he had randomly transmigrated into a fish. It wasn't so unreasonable for him to want to say goodbye to this world as a human. Leo was about to enter the system as a fish who had nothing to lose when Prince Jing put down his book and approached the tank. Leah had probably stopped by the walls of the tank for so long enough that Prince Jing had taken a notice while he was reading. Leah wagged his tail listlessly at the prince, waving goodbye to him for the last time. But Prince Jing misunderstood and thought the fish wanted to play again. Although it was easy to see the fish through the crystal tank, the tank was larger and taller, which made it much more difficult to put his hand in the water and play with the little carp the way he did before. A bit of shame, Prince Jing thought. He had itched to play with the fish, but had to settle for pressing against the wall of the crystal tank. Sorry, I just heard something. Leo paused, then swam over slowly. He was currently a fish who was in a dangerously volatile mood. It wouldn't be easy to make him happy. He instinctively blew a bubble towards Prince Jing's fingertip. A corner of Prince Jing's lips quirked up as he slid his hand a little further. The little carp hurried to follow. Leo had already forgotten about his revenge on society as Prince Jing played with him. You know, I was about to say this man has the memory of a fish, but can you blame him? Ah, there really wasn't not much time left. Fine, the prince was treating him so well. He shouldn't cause trouble for him. Separated by the crystal wall, the little carp could only rub longingly against the spot where Prince Jing's finger was. He spent his final 2 hours with the prince like this. User, time is up, the system interrupted. Leo realized in a daze that he'd already entered the fish scamming system. He wasn't quite sure what happened to make him suddenly enter the system. He didn't turn into fish bones and fish ash before Prince Jing's very eyes, right? Please don't be nervous, user. You're still alive, the system assured him. Still alive? That was good. Leo didn't get to relax for long before realizing something wasn't right. Shouldn't he have failed, since he ran out of time? The system explained. The time limit for the task meant you had to use the entire duration of the countdown. Why didn't you say that earlier? You're messing with a poor fish again. I've already reminded the user to be patient, the system told him. You needed to wait until the allotted amount of time had passed, at which point the system will determine whether or not you failed the quest. That's not much better than what he originally thought was going on, I don't think. Leah thought back. The system did prompt him to be patient before, but who on earth would get such a vague hint? So, did I succeed? Leah asked unhappily. The system answered, please look at the main quest. Following the system prompt, Leah went to check the getting along step for the priceless pet fish main quest. The countdown had been replaced with a little square that was flashing different colors. The system continued. This time, the criterion for success is how satisfied the Tyrant was over the last few days. Green means success, red means failure. Can you talk normally? Enough nonsense. What exactly is my result? The system suddenly stopped. The little square that kept continuously changing color also stopped. If he failed, he would turn into fish bones and fish ash. Gathering his courage Leah went to look at the final result. To be honest, he was quite confident. Although he'd caused a lot of trouble for the Tyrant and taken advantage of him, the Tyrant had grown quite fond of Leah. He probably wouldn't get red. I was kind of feeling sure that things would be fine until Leah decided to be confident about it. Then I'm like, no, no, no. If he's confident about it, there's some kind of like loophole or hidden, thing that is going to make this more complicated than it would look on face value. Hmm. Leah quickly glanced at it, only to see that the result the system had given him was multicolored. Leah's heart was shaking from top to bottom. What does multicolored mean? The system spoke. Congratulations, user, for completing Getting Along. The reward is heightened healing powers. Leo brushed aside the reward. His mind was fixated on one thing, wondering if the splendid colors meant a splendid job. No, it's probably going to be like, this man feels confused. I need a pen or something that says fish bone and fish ash on it. Oh my goodness, that would be so funny. Leah thought about how animals like cats and dogs express their affection. Oh, wait, sorry. No, I skipped a massive amount. It means he was very satisfied, the system said. Leah beamed. Was the prince very pleased with him? Ha! Thank the heavens. Thank Prince Jing. The little carp trembled and exhaled loudly, relieved, before jumping high into the air. Leah exited the system and realized he was lying in Prince Jing's hand. It turned out that he had been in the middle of playing with Prince Jing when he entered the system. The stupid system hadn't taken care of anything for him, so he sank to the bottom without any warning, right in front of the prince. It had been a shocking sight, leaving Prince Jing to assume the fish must have fallen sick again. The servants waiting outside Prince Jing's room already had experience with this, since a similar thing had happened before. The fish had already gone stiff, but other than that, there didn't seem to be anything wrong with it. The servants just had to vaguely tell him that his fish was asleep. Prince Jing's face remained grim as he waited for the fish to wake up. I mean, to be fair, I feel as if I saw the fish just basically collapse like that, I would also think there's something wrong with it, not just that it's sleeping. Especially if it was in the middle of doing something, that would be very concerning. Can fish get epilepsy? Because I would that's where my brain would go. Um, Jing's face remained grim as he waited for the fish to wake up. As soon as Liu saw Prince Jing, he felt the corners of his eyes prickling. Prince Jing didn't know that a fish in his hand was actually a human, nor did he know that Liu had just gone through a life or death situation. And yet it was his love for him that had saved Liu. The little carp stared at Prince Jing's handsome face, emotions welling up inside his chest. Fish couldn't cry, and they couldn't speak. No matter whether Liu was happy or sad, as a fish, all he could do was swish his tail and blow bubbles. But Liu wasn't just any fish. If he felt excited, he had to show it in some way, and right now, he wanted to show Prince Jing how grateful he was. Liu thought about how animals like cats and dogs express their affection. There wouldn't be anything wrong with him nuzzling Prince Jing's face like that too. Plus, Prince Jing was holding him in his hand right now. He wouldn't get a better opportunity than this. Liu did his best to straighten out his body, but fish were not the same as cats or dogs. Cats and dogs could stand up and lay their paws on their owners' shoulders, but no matter how tall Liu stood, his fins were still nowhere near long enough, and he couldn't reach anything. He just struggled uselessly for a while, and then toppled back into Prince Jing's hand. Liu wasn't discouraged. He still had a powerful tail in his arsenal. As long as he aimed for Prince Jing's face, he was going to make it. He just had to remember not to use too much force. He wanted to nuzzle up to Prince Jing's cheek, not slap him in the face. He had to be gentle. Why does this still feel like this is gonna go terribly wrong? This time, Liu didn't miscalculate the force required, but his sense of direction wasn't very good. He missed the mark and jumped too far to the side. Unfortunately, the little carp didn't notice at all. As he sprang forward, Prince Jing's face grew larger and larger. The little carp was secretly filled with joy. Without any regard for anything else, he leaned in with his mouth and randomly wiggled around. His sharp little fish mouth rubbed against something incredibly soft. Prince Jing's face feels so nice, he thought, but shouldn't cheeks be flat? Why does this feel kind of wavy and a little hot? Jump into his hair? I feel like you should be noticing that if that's the case. Leah paused. No way. What was he rubbing against? Leah's eyes widened in shock as he realized his fish lips were pressed against Prince Jing's man lips. Oh my goodness, like I thought that might happen before the oh he miscalculated but came in. Then I thought, okay, no, he's just gonna like hit the floor or something like that, or like end up in his hair. But no. They went there. Like this is a mess. This is a mess. This is a mess. Oh no. Okay. Sting's dark, pitch black pupils stared back at him unblinkingly. With this fish, it's like one swim forward, two swims back. It just there's no hope for this fish at all. Once again, he made a mistake. Shuddering, the little carp slid down from the prince's lips. He never wanted to see the prince again. Prince Jing held the fish in one hand, then rubbed his lips, his mouth a little sore thanks to the fish bumping into it. Was this little fish up to no good again? He could already picture the fish slipping into the deflated state again for the next few days. Liu, who had finally completed a small step in the main quest, entered an even deeper state of self-reflection than before. He was just in the middle of preparing a second round of apology fish food to the prince when the fish scamming system dropped another bomb on him out of the blue. Ooh, I'm curious to see what this is. Hello, user. The fourth step of the main quest, Tyrant's priceless pet fish, share a bed with the tyrant, has already begun. He's a fish. What are you talking about? Please complete the quest carefully. Were his gifts for Prince Jing not enough for the system? Now he had to share a bed with the tyrant? Fish couldn't even leave the water. How on earth was he supposed to sleep with a human? But the system never answered him. That was what made it a fish scamming system. That's great. Okay, we have 10 minutes left, but we are at the end of a chapter, and I don't know why, but I am quite tired tonight. Would you guys mind if we called it early for tonight and stopped here? I just want to see. We did okay. We didn't do as many pages, but I fall short of what I was hoping to get. But I am quite tired. Do you guys think we should just do the 4 pages? I'm not sure. Okay, Okay, we shall end it here then. This is gonna be interesting. I feel like the best course of action for him will probably be using the side quest Pearl now, but I also don't know if I want him to use that just yet. Like, if on the one hand, I want him to use it as soon as possible because I'm just curious, but on the other hand, I'm like, that might escalate things quite quickly. So I don't know. And also, Prince Jing doesn't seem like the kind of prince who would welcome an unknown person into his bed. While he might, weirdly enough, welcome a fish. We don't know. We'll see. Um, So yeah, I hope you guys still enjoyed it. Thank you guys for your understanding with the early ending, and we should be back to regular streaming Tuesdays and Thursdays. I'm still considering it a little bit because I know that there are people who watch both Brittany from the Gay Watch channel and I's read-alongs, and I kind of do want to try and accommodate that, but I'm not sure how to make that work. I think the best I could potentially do is moving one of the 2 days to a day where she's not streaming, so like Wednesday, for example. I'm not 100%. We will see if I can figure it out at some point. But yeah, thank you guys so much for joining. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one. 再见。